me see. Okay, let's start from here. It's a little bit weird on this side. Okay. First of all, I really appreciate. I'm sorry, I cannot hear any echo. So if you cannot hear my voice, please just speak out, because here I pretty much like a silence box. So I don't really know whether you can really hear me. Sometimes I have the audio trouble, so I just want to make sure. Okay, first of all, I introduce myself first. My name is David Penn, and I am the director at Youth Coding Innovation Club. Probably most of you already know the name, the Youth Coding and Innovation Club name from somewhere, either from the WeChat group or from the newsletter. Or we post some of this competition like bi-week article in the media.com. So we have a couple of different channels which we send out the information and let everybody know that there are some kind of STEAM related activity. And sometimes it's competition, sometimes it's just like this. It's not competition, but it's really just activity. Okay, I have full-time job as an IT in the IT field for more than 20 years. So this club is only running by a couple of volunteers, including myself and a couple of other parents. I will introduce that a little bit. And tonight, actually this evening, I know some of these students are joining from other countries, like from China, from Singapore. I really appreciate you. I know it's really early morning, early Saturday morning, probably 7 o'clock in the morning. So it's tough. So I know it's not really so easy to wake up at 7, especially for young kids. So I really appreciate. For the rest of you, most of you probably on the East Coast, like from New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, or Massachusetts. Yeah, you are really around the lunchtime or dinner times. So I know this probably break your normal schedule. So appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit about what's a Moonhack. I believe most of you probably don't really know this name before. A Moonhack is really a free international event. Its goal is try to bring the kids from across the world together for 1 week of coding. It was held by Code Club at Australia. I will show you how this organization looks like. I'm sorry, yeah, it's still a couple of students join. And the whole idea about the Moonhack, it's not about competition. So do not really think the Moonhack is another competition. It is not. But the goal is that they try to bring as much as kids come over, especially these kids has never learning programming or have a very basic knowledge about programming. So they can put together and then they have 1 week of the coding through the instructor like me. I can introduce what kind of coding we can do, what kind of project we can do. And then in the past couple of years, we break the world record. So I will show you how that looks like. And this year, Moonhack 2021 was take place from May 24th to May 30th. And every year is slightly different. So for most of you probably already know the Youth Coding Innovation Club. Just in case you are a fresh newcomer to this organization, we are really originated by a couple of parents at 2015, and over last 6 years, and our club member expand to over 400 students. And our parents come from different states like New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Texas, California, Illinois, and from some other country like Singapore. From China, we have parents from Shanghai, Nanjing, and I believe there are a couple of parents from Shenzhen. And we have our own advisor board, includes some of these professors and professionals in different IT field, and some teachers from public school and private school. And if you want to know more about our club, you're welcome to check our website. It's very easy to remember. It's ycic.club. It's not .com. YCIC, it really just means Youth Coding Innovation Club.club. Okay. So let's move back to check what's really the Moonhack. Probably a couple of you already joined the previous year's Moonhack event, but most of you probably have no idea. I already introduced a little bit. The Moonhack, it's really not a competition, it's an event. It's really for kids to come together, to give them the chance to go through the project, led by instructor like me, and it's a worldwide event. Our club started to participate Moonhack since 2017. On August 15th, 2017, the Code Club is an organization behind the Moonhack that promotes this event around the globe, set a new world record for most of the kids coding in one day. And we have the kids from all over the world, from Madrid to Manila to Sydney to Seoul, and include Beijing and New York, Texas, Houston. And we have more than 35,000 kids coding at the same day. So that breaks the world record. And at 2018, it was July 20th, and we break the new world record at 2018. And I can show you what that number looks like. Yeah, at 2018, the number is 35,865 kids participate for one day event, and that breaks a new world record. And at 2019, I do not really remember exactly how many kids joined our event, but all over the world, it has more than 42,000 kids participate, and it set a new world record. And it was really celebrate the 50 years anniversary of launch of Apollo 11. So that's the first human landing out space. It was landing on the moon near Armstrong and another two astronauts. That it's really it's really the first time the human been touched the outspace land. And last year, even we have the pandemic, we still have plenty of kids participate from all over the world. Of course, it didn't really set a new world record, but they still have plenty of kids join the event. So we participate the last 4 events in a row. So we never miss that. And this is the 5th year we participate this event. And I really hope you can enjoy that. And every year, Moonhack has one theme. So I will show you a little bit about what that really looks like. Okay, and the Moonhack, since it's not really a competition, so it's only an event. So basic idea is that they give you some sort of the pre-finished code, so they call the starter code. So you can start from there and finish the code followed by the instruction. This year we have 2 different kind of project. One is Scratch-based project that have 4 different projects listed under this category. Natural returns. I will explain a little bit more, but I probably don't really have time to go through all of this because it's really a lot of different projects. And de novo in the sky, it's really very interesting. And also they have the Python-based project for more advanced young coder. They include the fire danger warning sign, and they have the carbon footprint calculator. And I will lead you to this link so you can you can check what kind of project it is. Okay, so if you go with me and go to the Moonhack's homepage, you can see they have a countdown and they have the quick introduction. Tell you what's a Moonhack. It's really an international event. The kids all over the world come together for 1 week of coding, and it's totally free. We have different clubs all around the world, and every club have the leader who gather to get some of these kids like you with or without the coding background, and you probably never really finish one of the project, that's fine. Or if you finish some of this project, but you have interesting to see what kind of new project you can start with, that's great. Okay, so this year we have the goal for 34,000, and hopefully we can reach that goal. It's not really very hard for us to achieve that goal. Okay, so let's go to the project. And if you follow me, and you can see the project page, and it was breakdown into 2 different categories. We will start with Scratch project first, because this is for the very much beginner, and I strongly encourage any of these kids younger than 10 years old or 11 years old, try to start from this first, because Scratch is really something very natural and it's very user-friendly. And most of you probably learn Scratch as a first programming language. And after that, you accumulate some of this knowledge and really understand something like what's design thinking, what's a computational thinking. And if you see here, I will also draw some of this picture here and tell you what's really the computational thinking, what's the design thinking from the project's prospect. Because most of you even finish some of this project may not really have the full idea about how to design a project from the beginning to the end. Okay, let's start the first project first. I close this one, and this one is the same. Okay. If you want, you can follow like what I am doing here. So you go to the projects page under the moonhack.com, and then click the first link, try to start with a new tab. And if you can walk along with me, that will be great. Okay, so I have a couple of different projects. I will start with this one first, because this one is really something I found it's very interesting. Okay, I start with okay. So this project really have a theme, which it's really talking about how to return the. I'm sorry, I think this is the wrong page. I have to open another page. Okay, yeah, this one. So I have a quick question. If anybody still remember what happened at Australia last year, like in the, I believe it's in the middle of last year. Okay, they have the wildfire, which probably burned more than 30,000 acres of the forest and the grassland. So the wildfire become a really huge problem at that time. And because the fire can be very dangerous, and after a bushfire, the plant will grow back better than ever. So the fire, it's on one side, they destroy the forest, they destroy the bush. But on the other hand, fire is also very healthy for the plant to grow back, because they build up the fertilizer and they really have leave the gap in between of different plants. So that's something called the natural return, because the natural, it's not really always say, okay, you only grow the plant, grow the forest, and you never really burning it out. That's not really how nature works. Just like human being from born to death, the plant have the same thing. So the natural bone is really a project about that, and we will really follow what the natural burning of the bush looks like, and I will show you how it works. And before that, you can even read something about the introduction. So something about what is really why it's so important for the fire burning by its nature. And if you have interesting, you can really go through that. But since our main purpose here, it's really for the coding, so I don't really spend too much time on that part, and I would direct go to the coding part. Okay, so Scratch. So hopefully you already have the Scratch account. Otherwise, you can create your own Scratch account. It's not really something only for the beginner. Even sometimes I create some of this Scratch project. It's really have fun, and you can really learn something which can do some of this small project which can prove of the concept, right? Okay, so I have a start project which I download from over there, and I like to delete all of this. Then we can follow, and then follow the step-by-step instruction here. We can finish. Okay, so here it's really a start project. If you check it out, you can find from the link here. So they have the offline start project. They also have the online start project. So go ahead. Yeah, you are mute yourself, so you need to unmute.
Do we have to follow the steps?
I'm sorry, you muted again. Do you have to follow the instruction? No, actually, you do not have to follow the instruction. But follow the instruction will make your project more aligned with the requirement. So we will follow the project instruction, finish it, and then we can make some enhancement. How about that? Okay, so I just delete all of this.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
How do you download the project?
Yeah, you can go over here and go to its project page.
Where?
Okay, go to its project page, and you will download the PDF.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, thank you.
Download the PDF, open the PDF that have this. I can copy this. I'm not exactly sure whether this one will work, but
can you like download it and send it in the chat or something?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. Can I have everybody's accounts? Like, I want to know their username.
You can use some other people's account. That's
I'll just put in my alt account inside the chat. Not sure if anybody wants it or anything, but are you allowed to share accounts or like to the chat in the chat or no? Because I made like 6K games.
Yeah, you can share account. That's not a problem. Yeah, if you if you feel comfortable, you can really share the account. That's not really a big problem. Oh, sorry. have to reload it. Sometimes it didn't work out. Okay. Yeah, I remove all of this code first, then you can see it. And okay, so we have a clean, empty project, which only have the backdrop and the sprite defined, right? So in case you don't really know what's a sprite, you probably have to review a little bit. So I don't really review that here, just because I believe it's really something for the very beginner. Okay, so we start from here. I'm sorry, I have to move this a little bit further. Okay, so the first couple of steps is that you can see there are two different sprites and one backdrop, right? So this backdrop really it's about the forest, okay? And two sprites, one is bush, another is fire. So you can see what there really looks like. And if you come from here, you should follow very easily. You choose the bush first, and then, okay, let's see. It said the first is bush. Yeah, first is bush. Okay, select the bush sprite, and then you finish this part. We can say start from here, click this, and then you will repeat 10 times, and then you can create a clone for yourself. Yeah. So in case you don't really know what's a clone just means you clone one object as yourself, and it's really a separate one. Okay. And then you can add this code when you start the clone. You can go to different location. So you can say you go to X and Y. And here you can pick up this. I built up this first, so I don't really have to move over. I duplicate it. And then this is really the X. And the first part is Y. Okay, so I move this. This is Y, and this is X. And then you can press show. Okay. So that means that randomly go to somewhere and show it. And if you want to check it out, you can check it out. Okay. And then you see that code will move on to the fire. So now you choose the fire, and then you can start from here. When the flag is clicked, you go to a random position. So you choose this, go to a random position, and you can show it. Okay. I'm running a little bit fast, so I understand most of you probably not really able to catch up, but don't worry too much about that. We have the video recording, so in case you want to review it, I will share the link after we review the code. Okay, and then when you click this for the file, still this is file sprite, so you can start from here. I'm sorry, wrong one. Start from here, and oh, yeah, that's after this. And you can repeat. This time we only repeat 5 times, so put 5 here, and then we will glide. In case you don't really know what's a glide, that really means you are really move smoothly from one place to another place. So that's glide. It's pretty much like skating, right? So when you're skating, you are really move from one position to another position. Okay, and after that, you should hide your sprite. Okay, over here, and then you will switch the backdrop to regrowth. So you go to here and switch the backdrop to regrowth. Okay. If you want, you can start to make some testing here, but I'm not really always test when it's not finished. So, okay, let's try to save it now. And then yeah, this is really how the fire looks like. They go to random position and then they glide from one place to another place, right? Okay, and they only repeat 5 times if you see they are repeating. Okay, so you go to select the bush sprite again, and you already have the code which move to different position, random position, and then you will tell them to wait until. So this is wait until. Wait until what? Wait until it was touched. The bush was touched by the fire. So the fire was moving around. When they touch the bush, they will burn the bush, right? Okay, so you will check the sensing, how it was touched. Yeah, so you can hear. I'm sorry, I don't really explain each one of the block because first of all, I don't have enough time. Second of all, I hope you have basic idea about Scratch. If you don't worry too much about that. You are coming over here to try to get a feeling whether the programming is really fun for you or it's really too boring for you. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Just stay over here, see what's the result. How about that? Okay, and then we can switch the custom. Okay, switch the custom from the bush to burnt. Okay, so that's great. And then we wait for 10 seconds. Wait for 10 seconds. And we can switch it back to custom again. Okay, switch back to bush and set the size to be different size. So it looks like slightly different. Okay, set the size to be only 10% of the original size. And you can repeat 10 times here. You can change the size to be, okay, we have the set size and then we can change the size. This time we give them a random number between 1 to 10. So it's really, because we already have it to be 10%. So that means we scale back to only 10% of the original size. Now we try to give them a random size, which is in between of 1 to 10. Okay, and we wait for 1 second. I'm sorry. Wait for 1 second here. Okay. So I need to keep track of the time because that's very important. Okay, so now it's pretty much done. And let's try it out. And I know I made a mistake because I accidentally I delete one of the bush sprite design. So it's not really looks so nice, but I will show you how it looks like. Okay, so after it was burned out, it was reborn again. Okay, so this is pretty much finished, but I like to show you what it really looks like, because this is really the official result. Okay, so I will run it again and hopefully you can see it clearly. Let me see. Oh, this is too small. Okay. So you can see the fire moving around. Whenever the fire touch any of the bush, the burn it down. And then it only tried to burn it, it's only burning down a couple of bush, right? And after that, this bush has been burning down, was regrowing. So how it works is that they start one bush and then create 10 times. So the bush was created 10 at 10 different positions. And then it go, of course, it go to random place. It wait until it was touched by the fire. So they change the bush its own sprite that have couple of different image. So if you go here and you can, I'm sorry, that's bad. Oh, how come?
Wait, what's the code for fire?
The code for fire is here. The code for fire is very straightforward. they will change the backdrop. So here this is the backdrop, right? So the backdrop have two different kind of, so you can see one backdrop is like this, another backdrop is like this. So this means if everything has been burned down the tree, so they have no leaf, and this is really the leaf growing back, and you can see that they have two different kind of backdrop. So the fire is really try to go to random position, and then they repeat 5 times, and they are glide over from different place. And one thing very important is that if you check the code here, when the fire go to somewhere, it may or may not touch the bush. So here is a bush, right? So if the bush has been touched by the fire, it will change its costume, because they have two different costume. And if you see that, sorry. Sometimes it's really, yeah, I don't know why. The online version here, it's really sometimes didn't work very well. But hopefully, okay, yeah, it is here. So you can bush is here. Go ahead.
Can I make a idea? Since fire can spread, you can actually create clones of the fire. If touching the bush, then pick random 1 to 2. Create a clone of my. If then you can make a variable that says chance,
Yeah.
and then set chance to pick 1 to 2. Then you would do if chance equals 1, then create a clone of myself, and then do the same code again.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. That's not a problem at all. Yeah, so you can see they have two different kind of costume. One is bush, and another one is bush has been burned, right? So when you touched by the fire, you change to the burn, and wait of 10 seconds, you change back to the bush again. So that means you are regrowing back by yourself, but the size was randomly changed. So you can see here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is really my bad. I should go back to this remix here. Okay, so you can run it again. So you can see whenever the fire touched the bush will mark as burned, right? So now most of this bush has been burned. Then they will regrow back again at a random size, because the size here is random. So that's how it works. So this is the very first project. Of course, they have a couple of challenge. You can create more smooth animation, or like, I'm sorry, I don't really catch your name, but you have a great idea about how to set up the variable. Then you can really use that to control by for different kind of file, right? So that's great. So this is the first project, and then since we have a little bit more time, I will show you one more project. I figured out this project is very interesting, so I definitely like to go ahead.
Can you show us the Python one?
Python one will be after this. So if you stay here, I finished the Scratch project first.
For the Python project, do we need to use an online IDE or a downloadable?
Yeah, you can use online IDE. It was supported by online IDE. So that's
online IDE, they're a little bit more unreliable though.
It doesn't really matter. Actually, they have one suggest here. I will show you. I don't really jump over. I'm sorry. I just don't really want to leave it unfinished. Okay. So this part, it's really here. Whenever you go to this page, you can always choose the language, and then you can download the PDF, just like what I did. So I download the PDF here. Then I can demonstrate how the code is. Okay, so this one is very interesting. You know, we have the Indian people around, right? So in Australia, they also have the native Australia. It's called the First Nation. So the First Nation people really are traditional custodian of the land and waters of Australia. So in Australia, they recognize their continued connection to the countries and the culture, of course, just like we respect to the Indian tribal here. And we have their culture and we try to preserve their culture. So do the Australia. And Dinava in the sky story, it's a very interesting story. It's something about when they observe the sky, what they can see. And if I show you this one, we can quickly read through. Something very interesting is that we do not really build the project from nowhere. Most times we create some sort of project because we have certain idea. So if you read through that and you can find what's de novo in the sky. If anybody know what's de novo, let me know. Okay, so the de novo is just really one of the stories that knows to the Gomerya people. That's a traditional, that's called the First Nation in Australia. Their story has been shared by many generations. It's something what's observed in the sky. You can see this really consists by the stars, and they have certain shape. Of course, it's not so obvious. And de novo, it's really the story about that. So in our de novo game, so we learn and code each of the different phase. So they have the first phase, they have the second phase, and then they have the third phase. It's like egg, right? So how it really looks like. And if I show you this video, you can definitely see how that. This part is about what's de novo.
I'd just like to talk about some traditional knowledge that was handed down to most of us Indigenous fellows in this area, and it's the emu in the sky. Around April, May every year, the emu will appear in the Milky Way. Just underneath the Southern Cross, you'll see a dark spot, a rounded dark spot. That's the head of the emu. In front of him, of course, is his beak. And as we follow it down, you can see his neck in the dark spots of the Milky Way, comes right down to his body. You can see his legs, and you can see a couple of eggs underneath. At that certain time of year, it's the time for us to go out and collect emu eggs. We go out, of course, into the bush, always leaving some eggs for next year and for the generations to keep going. They only last up until early June. Anytime after early June, they start getting chicks in them. But before that, from April, May, you're pretty right to go gather.
Okay, so that's a great movie, a short movie talking about what's a de novo and how its shape was changed during different season. And yeah, the whole coding part, it's really tried to simulate this on the sky. Of course, I don't really finish from the beginning because that will take much longer time, but I will show you how it looks like. And then you can compare with what's the animation here. So this is the de novo. Okay. And you can see the X. Okay, so you can see this coding is pretty straightforward, but of course I have a lot of details which I don't really able to show you, and I wish start to run. Okay. So you can see the first part, they tell you what's a traditional story about that. And so they say in April and May, when the emu was breeding, it will start to move on the sky. You can see how parallel it is. And then in June and July, you can collect the egg. So that's how this de novo story was turning. It's a really ancient story, but it still have its own myths. So if you really enjoy that, you can go try to observe and see if you can find that. And of course, I don't really explain too much about this project because this project is most about how to change the costume. It's not really very challenging, but I would say it's still very interesting. If you check this part of the code, mostly about storytelling. So tell you the story, and when you code that, you can see send the broadcast message from this sprite to the egg to another sprite, right? So this is a very simple and straightforward project. I just show you how it works. Okay, and I don't really show other two Scratch project, but you are welcome to finish that by yourself. Since we only have 1 hour, I will have the rest of the time dedicated for the Python program. Okay, so this Python program have 2 different projects. One is fire danger warning sign. Another is called carbon footprint calculator. So we start from the first one first. Of course, you probably have some good idea about how to work on that, but I will still show you something I think is very interesting and have plenty of fun. Okay. First of all, you can download this PDF. You choose a language. Of course, they have multiple language. If you are in China, you are really welcome to choose a Mandarin. And or you understand some other language like French or Portuguese, you are welcome to download that. But I only understand Chinese and English. So I usually download English version, and then we can start from here. They use Trinket as an online IDE, but you are welcome to use some other IDE if you want. Okay.
Do we need a Raspberry Pi also?
No, that's a very good question. Here's the mention about Raspberry Pi, but this project it's really built up to simulate the Raspberry Pi. Yeah, you do not really have to use Raspberry Pi, but if you have Raspberry Pi, they were not even sufficient because they also need something called the sense head. That's really push on top of the Raspberry Pi, plug in over here, and then they can display this LED matrix.
Yeah, because
so that's slightly more advanced. Yeah.
Yeah, because I sometimes use an IDE called PyCharm, and that doesn't mention anything about Raspberry Pi. So.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. You probably cannot really running on PyCharm if you don't really install this library, but I will show you how it works online, so you can try it online again. Yeah, it's not really something totally different. Okay. So I start from here just because we have some kids maybe more advanced. So I will show you the code. Rather from the beginning, I will show you how it looks like. Okay, so this is really the project which was hosted on the Trinket.io. It's a very popular online IDE. You can save your own code. You can remix, just pretty much like the Scratch online, right? So, but you do not really expect everything will work. So sometimes it didn't work because they don't really install the library. So just make sure you understand that part. And from here, okay, first of all, if any one of you only know Scratch, don't be frustrated. When we are discussing about the Python, you probably don't really understand any of this technical term, but it's still the same concept. So I will try to go through the concept first, and you try to grasp as much as you can. Even you don't really understand Python, you can stay here just for a short while. I guarantee you will grasp something. Okay.
Okay, so I think for the third line, you could also do import syntax, because if you do that, you're just importing the whole library instead of just one part.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this one, it's really try to create the warning sign to prepare for bushfire season. So you can use the Raspberry Pi. It's pretty much like this with the Sense hat. Actually, I have Sense hat, but since we have the virtual version here, so I don't really use that to demonstrate because that's unfair. Most of you probably don't have that. And what you can do is that you will really read the data from the external sensor. So for example, I have the sensor here, built on top of the sensor head, and then you can make the decision based on the data. And the final step is that you can generate an image using a grid of pixels. So the pixels here. So you can see they have 10 by 10 pixels here, and you can check and generate different kind of picture and just simulate the file is on or off. Okay,
Wait,
so you can use.
Wait, isn't it kind of like make block? Like there's like different modules and then you can connect them.
Yeah, if you have different module and you want to try it out, you're welcome to try it out. Yeah, it has nothing wrong to do that. Yes, and this whole project is only give us the idea. So anything you want to try, yeah, you are more than welcome to try it. That's great. And if you have some new project, you are more than welcome to send that project link back to us, so we can post it, and then you can get credit in the GitHub. So that's how our club member, a lot of these students post different kind of project online. We collect all of this project and we post over there, and over the time, a couple of years later, you can find, oh, at 6th grade, I built some project like this. At 7th grade, I built this project. And at 9th grade, I built some other more advanced project. So that's perfect fine.
Also, when we're done with the project, we just post them on GitHub.
Yeah, you can post on your GitHub, send the link back to me, and if you don't have GitHub account, you can send to me and I can post on our club's GitHub account. Either way, yeah, just give me a link of your project.
If we have an account, we need to make a new repository, right?
Yeah, if you have your own account, you need to make the new repository. Yes. Okay, so from here, you will import this library sense head. This is really used to support this part. It's not support the Raspberry Pi, it supports this sensor head. And then, of course, this is what the library's function, I mean, the method name. And you also need to import the time. So because the need to refresh by different time interval. And then you can start from here, you can see, and you create a new object built up from this library. And then, of course, you clear it first. So that means they were showing nothing on this matrix. And then you can see different color. This is really means red, blue, yellow, white, and green. So this is really combination of the RGB, right? Red, green, and blue. And so that's really the combination of a build different color. And then the rest of that is pretty much used for the color. So you can see the W means white, Y means yellow, and R means red. So this is a warning sign. The warning sign really built by this 10 by 10. So this is 10 by 10. Each pixel will be one color here.
Okay, so I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for inside the warning and no warning lists, every single value inside the list, I see that they aren't a data type. Like if you're gonna do letters, that like you have to like put them in string or like numbers. You could have used numbers instead to use integers, but those are just letters without a data type. So.
Okay, I have to explain a little bit more here. Since this is really used to support for each pixel. So each pixel is really LED, right? LED pixel only change the color. So they don't really support anything like the string. If you put something like warning or you put something like fire, they don't really work like that. Yeah.
No, not like. Also, those are separate lists, nested lists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yes, these are really match one-to-one to this. So this W means this dot, the first dot.
Yeah, I didn't see the top part. Yeah.
Yes, okay. So if you see this, you can see this is definition of different color. Yeah, so the red, blue, yellow, white, and green. And then you can see 10 by 10, 10 by 10 here, 10 rows, 10 column, or 10 rows, 10 column. And this is 10 by 10. So warning and no warning. They just use different color combination on the LED to show you how it works. And then you have the temperature. Of course, the temperature is really supposed to get the temperature from this sense head. So they have the sensor, right? But since we don't really have the hardware here, we're really able to just simulate that. So in case they have the lower than 20 degree or higher than 50 degree, you say, oh, that's no warning. Otherwise, in between like 21 to 49, you say, oh, they probably have some sort of the warning sign because this is high temperature. I don't really know why 21 sounds like the high temperature in Australia, but anyway, that's how the
It's Celsius.
Okay, the Celsius, that's right. Okay, so let's try to run it. Wait a minute, where's the running? Why I didn't see the running sign? Oh, it's here.
Yeah, you have to pause it for.
Okay, so you can see they have to refresh, and then this is not really the warning yet, right? So we can try it a couple of times, and this is pretty much how it works. And let me see if they have more code like this. Okay, so this is pretty much how it works. So they collect the temperature, then they check the temperature. Based on that, they show it's a no warning or warning. So, oh yeah, you can change this. So you can see here, if I make it 38 degree, they become warning again, right? And you can also change here. Okay, so if I move this down to only 19, so it's no warning. If I move it up 26, okay. If it move over 59, okay, so that's slightly different. So you can see all of this code are really can be changed by the temperature can be changed here. So that's how the simulator works. Okay, so this is really a very fun project, and if you have interest in, you can really try it out. And because they have the simulator, so you do not really have to worry too much about how to make it work. Okay, I missed one thing. For Python program, you likely to add this first line. That's just because a lot of times you are running that on different platform. Some on the MacBook, some on the Windows, some on the Linux. So the first line /bin/Python3 is kind of important, especially support on the MacBook and the Linux. Okay, so the rest of that I already explained, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And that's our first project about the Python. This is a very simple project, and I will introduce a little bit about the second project. Okay, so the second project, carbon, okay, footprint. Again, you can download the PDF by yourself, and then you can follow the instruction and try it out. Okay. I only show you the finished project because that's save some time. So we don't really have to spend the time to typing all of this code. So the second one is that how to make the carbon footprint calculator. And most of you probably know what's a carbon, right? And the carbon footprint means how much carbon will generate. So they really have its own calculator. Of course, this calculator is really not something we get. It's scientists based on their scientific research. They get that. And then we just try to implement that by whatever the scientists make that formula. So here we have a couple of steps. Of course, we will import this question. So this question is really read from here. If you check this data, it's really defined as a data.py. And then inside this data.py, they have the question was defined here. So they have different questions. So the first question is that, how do you get to school? So you can answer drive, walk, or cycling. And second question is that, how often do you eat beef? That's a very interesting question, right? So we probably don't really eat that much of beef, but you know, some people probably eat a lot of beef. And then you have a couple of answers.
So I don't think you had to import the data module. You could have just used the input method, and then so you would just type the prompt in, and then you could just use a bunch of if and else.
You can definitely use that, but I would strongly suggest use this.
Yeah, this is easier, but that's another way to do it.
Yes, you're right. But
because for this you have to import the library, and like you have to like download the library as well.
To be honest, import library is really a very good practice to do it. That make your code separate from the data, and you can define different data. You can change the data without changing the logic here. So
no,
yeah,
you could. Well, I mean, if you want to change it easier, you could just use variables in the if loops, and then at the beginning of the code, you could just change the variables.
I totally understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea is that for most of the project, we want to create something called the logic and data separate. So it's really independent of the data. For example, you want to change your question. If you put the question inside the main body here, you have to change it here. But if you only change that into the data.py, you can change whatever you want. You still can run it without any problem. I can demonstrate a little bit. And after that, so you can see they have the 1, 2, 3 question, the third question. And basically we can run it first and then I explain it to you. Okay, so the first question is that, how do you get to school? Somebody give me an answer. Of course, you do not walk to school, right? Most of you.
Car.
So it's drive, right? So it's car. Okay. And how often do you eat beef?
Not that often, once a week.
Once a week, okay. Let's see. What do you set your aircon to?
That's air conditioner.
That's air conditioner, yeah, to in summer. So what's the temperature you set?
Let's say around like 20.
20? Okay,
yeah.
So second one. Okay, so your emit approximately it's 1,300 kilogram of CO2 per year. So that's how they calculate the carbon footprint for you. So you get the.
How do they calculate a gas?
How do they calculate that? Yeah, they have the formula built in here. So, for example, you have the first question, right? So you have question in a loop. That's why it's important. You have the question from the questions. So you see here is questions. You have each one question. You print out that question, and then you ask them for the answer. You get the answer, and you move on to the next one. When you get the answer, you will really say, oh, your answer is, you can see here, enter your answer. And then you get the answer here. For this response, you really get, okay, the code is should be right over here. Let me move down a little bit. So the gets the total based on here, the response and carbon. So the carbon is really defined here. For each answer, you have the carbon. For example, you say you drive, so your carbon is 500. And then you say once a week, your carbon is 200. So put together is 700, right? And then you say, you put on 20 degrees, so your carbon is 600. So you put together 500, 200, and 600. Totally is 1300. So that's how the design is.
Oh wait, so for that library, you have to create another Python file with all the data in it, right?
If you want to add more question, you can just add inside this question.
Oh, yeah, I can see how that's
right.
working.
So let's try it quickly over here. Say, okay, we want to add another question.
Yeah, I can see how that's more convenient.
Here, right? So it's very convenient. And this time we'll say, how often do you just make up something? How often do you go to movie? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Movie theater. Okay, just make up that. We don't really know. We can say multiple times a week. We can say 400. Let's say 500, make even more. Once a week, we say only 300. And less than once a week, we will say 100. Never 0. Okay, so now we have this code, have one more question, right? So we go back to here, and we don't really change anything in the main, and then we can still run it again. Okay, so now it say, I'll still answer the same question. So for the first one, how do you get to school? You drive, for example. Actually, you can even expand that. So how many times you eat the beef once a week, that's okay. And how do you set the air conditioner? So you still keep the same temperature. Now you see the fourth question here. How often do you go to movie theater, right? So just in case say less than once a week, say 2. So now you see you have 14 kilogram. This 100 extra is coming from here because you answer this question less than once a week. So that's 100, right? So that's why you get from the 1300 kilogram to 1400 kilogram without really changing a lot. Of course, I really like to change a little bit here because I found something they are missing. Besides that, the drive, I think they also have something called the school bus, because I think school bus is better than drive, but still a little more than.
It might be better because there's a lot of people in one vehicle.
Exactly, that's right.
But so still might be worse because that vehicle has to have a stronger engine, and then that requires more fuel, which is more carbon.
So how about we put it to be 200? Because I think most of you probably still take the school bus, right? So the school bus is not really your parents' drive. Okay, so let's say 200. So we go back to here and we can run it again and say, okay, the first one is school bus, so it's 3. And then once a week, eat the beef, it's 1. And then 22 degree, 20 degree, I'm sorry, it's 2. And then less than once a week. So you only have 1100 kilogram CO2. So that's great. So that's really answered most of the question, and you can build the question list here, and you can change that, and you can give them different way. For example, you find some other question which is very common for some other scenario, you can build it over here. So that's really what the Python program works for us. It really goes through the for loop and goes through the question one by one. And for each question, you get the input as your answer. For each input, you use this response and you find the carbon, which is defined with the question, right? So you can change the carbon definition, you can change the answer, you can even change this answer. you can add the question here. So that's very convenient. By this way, you can really make the logic and the data totally separate. So that's really how the beautiful of the Python programming you can make. So now you probably understand why we do not really like to put this inside the main, because that will make it much easier to maintain and much easier to create something new, right? Okay, so that's pretty much about today's seminar, and we go through the Scratch program. I demoed the natural returning and de novo in the sky, so both are very good. We have two more. I don't have time to go through both of this. You are more than welcome to try it out. It can be really fun. And then we go through the Python program, fire danger warning sign, and the carbon footprint calculator. And both of them are really show you how the Python programming works, and we can make certain improvement. You are more than welcome to do that. Okay, so if you give me the right email address in the registration form, you will get a certificate, which is not from me, it's from the Code Club organization, and looks like this. So you will receive that in the email in the next couple of days. And if you don't receive that by the end of the week, probably you should come back to contact me, send email to info@ycic.club, and just tell me, say, okay, I don't receive this certificate. Just wait for about 1 week, because I don't really know how long it will take from them to send the certificate to me, but within 1 week should be fine. And so our goal is really here to try. Yeah,
how
go
do
ahead.
we submit like the project we make?
Which module? You are talking about the
Any model. How do we submit them? Do we ever need to submit that?
you do not have to submit if you don't have anything new. If you have something new, you are welcome to submit back to me. Even you just make some enhancement, you are much more welcome to submit
Just
that
email that to
enhancement
you,
back to me.
that's it.
Yeah, you just submit back to me. It's okay, because I'm the host here. So I host the seminar here, and then I will report to Code Club.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So our goal here is just try to inspire you guys to participate in the activity, and we know we can learning and we can practice and we can really have fun, just like what Ray discussed with me from the very beginning. He has the idea, put this into the main, and then he probably realized, oh, make it separate, it's much better than put it together. So that's how we practice and how we get better idea and have the better understanding about the programming, either it's in the Scratch or it's in the Python. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And we have a little bit over time. So the last 1 or 2 minutes, it's a question and answer section. So if anybody have any question, please let me know. Or you can type in the, I'm sorry, this is too big. Or you can type in the chat box, let me know. Okay, so I count by 10, and then if no question, we can end our session and enjoy your long weekend, and we can coming back to the officially in the summer, right? Yeah, just remember, you will receive the certificate, something like this. I cannot guarantee exactly the same layout, but it should, yeah, please go ahead. Richard Chen, go ahead. Yeah, I see you raise your hand, so I don't really hear you. Okay, so it seems like that question's disappeared. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Let me know if you have any question. You're more than welcome to contact me at info@ycic.club. Make sure it's .club. So I will really enjoy to discuss with you And if you have any project idea, I can help you out a little bit. So yeah, the whole summer is coming. So I know school is not ended yet, but I hope you can enjoy that. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all of you coming over here. And especially this kids join from China. It's really early morning, early Saturday morning. It's a weekend morning. So I know it's how tough it is. And I cannot speak Chinese over here just because most of the audience here don't really speak Chinese. So that's why, but I can, if we have some other chance, and you're more than welcome to stick with our club. My name is David, and I really appreciate your coming. And thank you, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.